Have you ever noticed how the easiest way to look profoundly intellectual in modern India is to simply look down on your own roots? It requires zero reading, zero research, and absolutely no effort. All you need is a designer outfit, a podcast microphone, or a multi-million-dollar ad agency contract, and boom, you are suddenly qualified to rewrite thousands of years of civilization while adjusting your hair. Take a look at our grand wedding season narrative. Every year, right on cue, a very specific type of enlightenment hits our screens. We are told with immense cinematic angst that Hindu wedding rituals are inherently oppressive. The prime villain of this tragedy? Kanyadaan. We've seen it all. Actress Diya Mirza proudly announced that her grandfather stopped the ritual of Kanyadaan because he believed daughters are not commodities. And she followed the same practice at her wedding. How brave, how revolutionary, how utterly misinformed. Just have a look at this video of hers.
If you can explain what the ritual of Kanyadaan is.
So the Kanyadaan is something that my grandfather refused to perform for any of his daughters when he was getting them married. So it's something that my mother first said that I would not allow. And she said my father didn't do it and I will not do it. It's a ritual that basically is about giving the daughter away. And a daughter is nothing to be given away. A daughter will always be your daughter. And the concept or the idea that a daughter is somebody else's, a nice way to say a family member, therein saying that, okay, you don't remain a part of my family after you are married. I think it's a concept that fails our girls and our women at many levels. And has over centuries.
It's fascinating how some people can confidently dismiss a centuries-old Vedic tradition without bothering to understand what it actually means. A simple question: who gave these self-appointed torchbearers of feminism the authority to reinterpret ancient customs they haven't even studied? And who could forget the famous Manyavar ad, Alia Bhatt sitting in a wedding mandap, looking into the camera with a perfectly crafted pout, asking, "Am I a thing to be given away? Why Kanyadaan? Why not Kanyaman?" It sounds incredibly deep, doesn't it? It makes for a fantastic social media caption. There's just one tiny, rather embarrassing problem. Both the ad writers and the podcast elite have absolutely no idea what Kanyadaan actually means. They took a profound, highly elevated spiritual philosophy, ran it through a lazy literal English translation, donation of a girl, and decided to lecture a billion people based on their own profound ignorance. Today, let's do what the ad agencies forgot to do. Let's actually open the scriptures. Let's look at the Veda, the Puran, and the actual Sanskrit grammar to see how a ritual meant to crown a woman as a sovereign queen was reduced to a corporate marketing gimmick. Let's start with a basic lesson in Sanskrit, a language that requires slightly more nuance than a 30-second commercial script. When modern woke commentators hear the word Daan, their minds immediately jump to charity, like throwing a few coins to a beggar or discarding old clothes. Because in their highly westernized, commercialized worldview, you can only donate something you own. Therefore, if a father performs Kanyadaan, they think he owns his daughter like property. Let us understand the actual scriptural spectrum of Daan. Material transactions, which show ownership transfer, like Artha, which is donation of wealth, or Bhudan, which is donation of land, and sacred entrustment, where no ownership is implied. For example, Vidyadan, that is imparting knowledge, Abhayadan, bestowing protection, and Kanya Sampradan, entrusting cosmic lineage. In Sanatan scriptures, Daan has vastly different dimensions. When a guru performs Vidyadan, the gifting of knowledge, does it mean the guru owned the knowledge as a commodity? When a king grants Abhayadan, the gift of protection, is protection an object sitting in his warehouse? No. In ancient texts, the oldest Vedic term used for marriage isn't even Kanyadaan, it is Kanya Sampradan or Sampradan. In Sanskrit grammar, the prefix sam denotes excellence, nobility, and absolute alignment. Pradhan means handing over or entrusting. You are not trading an asset, you are handing over a sacred living trust. You are transferring the guardianship of a radiant life from one lineage to another so that a new family can begin. To look at Kanya Sampradan and see commodity trading says nothing about Hindu scriptures, but it says a whole lot about the materialistic limitations of the modern mind. Now let us look at the word Kanya itself. If our elite influencers took 5 minutes to read the Mahabharata, they would encounter a beautiful dialogue where the sun deity Surya explains the cosmic etymology of the word to a young Kunti. The word Kanya is derived from the root Sanskrit verb kan, which means to shine, to be radiant, to be wished for, or to be entirely self-satisfied. Scripturally, a Kanya is defined as an independent, self-luminous entity who holds the divine light of the universe within herself. She is the living embodiment of Shakti and Lakshmi. Now contrast this majestic spiritual identity with the Manyavar ad. The ad depicts a bride who is insecure, whining about how her grandmother called her Paraya Dhan, someone else's wealth, and feeling like an object in her own home. Let's look at what the actual foundational text of Hindu marriage, the Rig Veda, Mandal 10, Hymn 85, known as the Suryaa Sukta commands. When the bride is sent to her new home, the Vedic mantra explicitly dictates her status. Samrajni Swashure Bhava, Samrajni Swasharam Bhava, Nanandari Samrajni Bhava, Samrajni Adi Devrushu. Let me translate that for the creative directors in the elite circles. It means be a Samrajni, a sovereign queen over your father-in-law, a queen over your mother-in-law, a queen over your sisters-in-law, and a queen over your brothers-in-law. The Vedas do not send a woman off to be a subservient commodity. The Vedic ritual literally crowns her as the empress of the new household. But of course, reading the Rig Veda doesn't fit into a trendy corporate campaign, does it? Let's talk about the actual mechanics of the ritual that these progressive narratives try so desperately to dismantle. First of all, a father cannot perform Kanyadaan alone. Under strict Shastric law, it is a joint ritual. The mother must stand by his side, pouring the sacred water, Jaldhara, because the daughter is recognized as the combined life force of both parents. And second, and this is the part that completely shatters the feminist narrative, Kanyadaan is not a surrender of the woman's rights. It is the ultimate contract of absolute accountability placed upon the groom. Let us have a look at the groom's sacred covenant, which is Dharma, righteousness, Artha, that is security and wealth, and Kam, which is love or desire. The Sanskrit shlok that describes this is Dharmecha, Arthecha, Kamecha, Mokshecha, Nati Charami. As the father places his daughter's hand into the groom's hand, it is mandatory for the groom to take a public, cosmic oath before the sacred fire. The father asks him to swear that he will never fail her across the three vital pillars of existence: Dharma, that is duty, Artha, that is material security, and Kama, that is love and physical desire. The groom must repeat 3 times, Nati Charami, I shall not violate her trust, I shall not cross her, I shall not fail her. Think about the sheer psychological weight of this moment. The groom is being told, this is not an object you are buying. This is a divine, radiant soul being entrusted to you. If you break your vow in any of these 3 realms, you answer to the cosmos itself. But our modern advertisements tell us we should replace this profound covenant with Kanya Man. They want to invent a superficial new word because they are entirely oblivious to the fact that absolute respect and divinity are already baked into the original ritual. It is incredibly easy to sit in a posh studio or an ad agency and mock ancient traditions when you have never taken the time to understand them. When a Diya Mirza proudly skips Kanyadaan to prove a point, or when Alia Bhatt sells wedding clothes by turning a sacred ritual into a symbol of oppression, they aren't liberating anyone. They are simply displaying the luxury of their own ignorance. They are taking sublime, poetic, cosmic concepts and dragging them down to the level of their own shallow understanding. True empowerment doesn't come from blindly disconnecting from your roots just because a westernized narrative told you to do so. True empowerment comes from knowing your roots so deeply that no corporate marketing campaign can ever manipulate your heritage for profit. So the next time someone tells you that Kanyadaan is regressive, tell them to drop the literal English translation and try reading the actual Sanskrit script for a change. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and share this video with someone who needs to hear the truth, and subscribe for more deep dives into our real history. Until next time, stay rooted.